All right, guys. So, Lindsey Graham made a wee bit of a strategic error, if I don't say so myself. And it's not just Kyle Kulinski saying this. There are reports that behind the scenes, Senate Republicans are furious with Lindsey Graham. Why? Because he proposed a national abortion law which would ban it at 15 weeks. So let me give you some specifics here. This is from the Politico article. Graham's abortion ban stuns Senate GOP. His past, less conservative pitch won him some Democratic votes, but most Republicans stiff-armed him Tuesday as they face abortion rights backers ascendant after Roe's reversal. Lindsey Graham's anti-abortion legislation once unified the Republican Party. The 15-week abortion ban he pitched Tuesday had the exact opposite effect. The South Carolina senator chose a uniquely tense moment to unveil his party's first bill limiting abortion access. Since this summer's watershed reversal of Roe v. Wade, it was designed as a nod to anti-abortion activists who have never felt more emboldened. Okay, so let me pause here to tell you guys, why would you think this is going to embolden anti-abortion activists when you're drawing the line at 15 weeks, which they say is way too late? I don't know if you know this, Lindsey. These people want to ban it from the moment of conception. In their mind, the second you're done having sex, there's a third person in the room. So for you to say we're going to draw it at 15 weeks, if anything, they're going to view this as a slap in the face to them. I mean, this is like, the left always calls for Medicare for all. This is like a Democratic politician saying, not even like, let's do Obamacare and call it a day and you guys should be happy, but saying like, let's do Obamacare, but strip out the best provisions of it, like the Medicaid expansion, and just force everybody to buy private insurance. You guys are happy, right? No, the left is going to be like, well, what the fuck? This isn't remotely what our position is, so why should we cheer you on? Now, it also has the effect of not just pissing off the anti-abortion activists, it also has the effect of pissing off the rest of the country, because at a moment like right now, support for Roe versus Wade, support for pro-choice legislation has skyrocketed. Even in deep red Kansas, they slapped down an abortion ban. 59% of the electorate did that. So any kind of headlines that say basically any kind of national abortion restriction, no matter how tepid you might think it is, there's going to be a backlash to that, you jackass. They continue here and say, yet Graham's bill also attempted to skate past a Republican Party that's divided over whether Congress should even be legislating on abortion after the Supreme Court struck down nationwide right to terminate pregnancies. Struck down a nationwide right to terminate pregnancies. So, by the way, Rand Paul was on, I think it was Newsmax, and he was saying, I don't agree with this. I said leave it up to the states. I meant leave it up to the states. And some fellow Republicans said they were highly perplexed at Graham's decision to introduce a new abortion ban, more conservative than his previous proposals, at a precarious moment for the party. Quote, I don't think there's an appetite for a national platform here. My state today is working on this. I'm not sure what he's thinking here, but I don't think there will be a rallying around that concept, said Senator Shelley Moore Capito, a Republican from West Virginia. I don't think there's much of an appetite to go that direction. Graham's past pitches for a 20-week abortion ban attracted most Republicans' support and even the votes of some Democrats. His latest effort would leave in place state laws that are even more restrictive while also imposing new limits in blue states that currently have none. Okay, so let me break this down for you, because this was one of the first things that popped into my mind when he proposed this legislation. What he's saying is, we're going to do a 15-week abortion ban in every state. Anything above 15 weeks, banned. By the way, no exceptions. Rape, incest, etc., nothing. But he also says, if you're a red state and you want to go further than that, I will allow it. But hold on. By that logic, shouldn't you also say the opposite? That, why is it the conservatives, if they want to have a law that's more restrictive, it's okay, but if in the blue states they want to be less restrictive, no, that's not okay. It strikes me as a wildly imbalanced approach. But of course, that's the point. They want it to be a wildly imbalanced approach. They want to just add another national restriction. Now, by the way, if you tell me, hey, Kyle, you can either keep the status quo, so the way it is right now, where like half of the states are massively cracking down on abortion and then half of the states are more lenient. Either you can keep the status quo or you can have a nationwide system in all 50 states where abortion is legal for the first 15 weeks, and then after that, it's restricted. I would pick the legal for the first 15 weeks in every state, and then after that, it's restricted. Why? Because like 90% of abortions happen before that 15-week mark. But that's not what this bill does. This bill says however many 20 plus states that are more restrictive, that's what's up. You can be more restrictive. But basically for all the blue states, we're going to cap it at 15 weeks. With, again, really no intelligent exceptions. So even Mitch McConnell, they go on to explain this in the article here, even Minority Leader Mitch McConnell said that he prefers this be handled at the state level. John Cornyn, Republican of Texas, suggested Graham had gone a bit rogue with this latest legislation. Now, I will also say, some people are arguing Lindsey Graham is tanking the Republicans' chances in the midterm elections on purpose. I think that's a hilarious admission. First of all, I don't think that's what he's doing. I don't think he's purposely trying to tank the Republicans. But second of all, there's an embedded admission among all these elected Republicans here that our ideas are really unpopular. So you can't just run on one of our ideas because that's going to hurt us. Well, what does that say about your governing philosophy? What does that say? It's quite an admission, because these people usually do not admit that their ideas are unpopular. They don't admit that. But now, that admission is embedded in this. Okay, so quick correction, because I'm seeing this now. I had read other reporting that the bill does not allow exceptions for rape and incest, but this says the opposite, this Politico article. So they say, Graham's bill bans the procedure nationwide after 15 weeks of pregnancy, a priority of many prominent anti-abortion activists who have been demanding a far more aggressive response from the GOP. It includes exceptions for rape, incest, and pregnancies that threaten maternal health. Okay, so just quick correction. According to Politico here, they say it does allow for those exceptions. Now, having said that, let me jump ahead and play this for you. So during the press conference, he lays all this out, says what his plan is. There's a couple arguments here that I'm going to take exception with. But the reporter asks him, well, hold on now. I personally had complications at 16 weeks. And under your system, I wouldn't have been able to get help. Now, we've discussed this vis-a-vis Texas, right? Even if they have an exception, if the life of the mother is threatened, then, you're allowed to do the abortion. But what they don't tell you is, they mean you literally have to be dying on the table. That's what they mean, your life is being threatened. So if you know, hey, in 3 months you're going to be dying on the table, that's not good enough. They say, we're going to have to get you to the place where you're on the brink of death before we can then give you an emergency abortion. So even a lot of these exceptions are not really exceptions. So this woman says, hey, I have, what about at 16 weeks when I had X, Y, and Z going on? He gives a terrible answer. So let's watch.
Graham, what would you say to somebody like me who found out that their son had an anomaly that would make him compatible life?
Let me get this ready. There we go.
I had regular appointments. I did everything right, and at 16 weeks, we found out that our son would likely not live. When he was born, he lived for 8 days. He bled from every orifice of his body, but we were allowed to make that choice for him. You would be robbing that choice from those women. What do you say to someone like me?
Here's what I would say. The world pretty much has spoken on this issue. The developed world has said at this stage into the pregnancy, the child feels pain, and
now let me pause there to tell you that is not a hard science. There is definitely disagreement among experts in terms of at what line the fetus feels pain. Now, by the way, my standard, in all seriousness, I do think once there's pain in the equation, it's a different moral calculation. I do believe that, which is why I often call myself a moderate on abortion. But, my moderate stance is supporting Roe versus Wade, because it's a moderate framework. But he's saying it like it's a hard science and everybody agrees. That's not true.
We're saying we're going to join the rest of the world and not be like Iran. As to your particular case, there'll be exceptions for life of the mother and rape.
Now, when he keeps saying, he keeps saying this over and over in this press conference, I'm just asking to be like the rest of the developed world. Oh, you son of a bitch. Why do you swat aside that argument when it comes to paid sick leave, paid maternity leave, paid vacation time, unions, higher minimum wage, universal health care, free college education? In every other context, Lindsey Graham laughs at that argument. Bernie has told him this in the debate to his face. Hey, I just want to catch up to the rest of the developed world. And in every other context, he throws it out. Every other context. This is the only one where he's like, bro, it's just common sense to catch up to the rest of the developed world. Now, by the way, that argument isn't even true in regards to abortion. You know, if you were watching this, you might think, well, in France, they do have a 15-week abortion ban. Read the specifics of the ban. Because they go on to say, if the physical health if the mother is threatened, they're allowed to get an abortion, but also the mental health of the mother. And who gets to determine it? I hope you're sitting down. The mother. So in other words, the reaction under that system is, look, you're past the 15-week mark. You know, it's getting a little bit dicey. You should definitely take this decision seriously, but your call. Your call. So he's not even correct in what he's stating here. Because again, with us, our exceptions, and there's a plethora of evidence to this effect already that we've covered on this show, the exceptions are you literally dying on the table? And if you're not dying on the table, not good enough.
And incest, but
exceptions in this bill.
Well, ma'am, there were 55,000 abortions after the 15-week period, and I think
like I said, about 90% of abortions happen before the 15-week period, just to give everybody context.
We're resolved to get America back in line with the rest of the world, and we won't know where America is until we vote, until we debate. And so to my Democratic friends, you're going around calling all of us every name you can think of. We're a bunch of wackos.
Correct.
Your idea is wacko, not ours. Let's vote. Let's vote. Give me a chance to vote on this bill. We'll take her considerations and we'll vote. Now, I guarantee if we have a debate on the floor of the United States Senate where we can explain what we're doing versus what they would do, we'll do really well with the American people. And over time, God willing, we're going to be like the rest of the world and not like Iran at the federal level when it comes to abortion. We're going nowhere. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Again, the crux of his argument is, let's catch up to the rest of the developed world. Well, like I just described to you, if you really want to catch up to the rest of the developed world, do it. You can do it like France. 15 weeks on paper, but after that line, who's it up to? The mother. Is your physical health threatened? Okay. Is your mental health threatened? And who gets to make the call? You get to make the call. So really, that's not the case, right? And honestly, I might even be a little more conservative than the French system, but this argument of like, I just want to catch up to the rest of the developed world, it's literally the only context where he uses it. I wish he would use it for paid family leave, for paid maternity leave, for paid vacation time, for unions, for universal health care, for free college. On that front, he thinks that argument is absolutely stupid. Now, notice how he reacted to the question. It was obfuscate, and then just bash Democrats. So, totally unsatisfactory answer. But I got to end on this note with you. So here we go. Lindsey Graham, in August, said states should regulate abortion. Now, he's flipped his view.
I think states should decide the issue of marriage and states should decide the issue of abortion.
I think we should have a law at the federal level that would say after 15 weeks, no abortion on demand.
I think states...
And this is why this absolutely is going to hurt the Republicans. Because all the headlines are national abortion ban, national abortion ban, national abortion ban. And they immediately went back on what they said their position was. This is what we call mission creep. That's what this is. Or this is what we call, sorry to make a crass analogy here, but this is just the tip. Just the tip, please, real quick. That's all I'm saying. Just the tip. Who, me, bro? No, look, my personal politics are against abortion, but, leave it up to the states. That's all I'm saying. Leave it up to the states. It was always a Trojan horse argument. It always was. Because in their heart of hearts what they want to do. And I got a bridge to sell you if you think, let's say hypothetically this passes, which it won't, but let's say it did. Do you think they're going to be done at 15 weeks? Do you think they're going to stop there when, as I just described to you, this is not a bill that satiates the pro-lifers? Not at all. In fact, they probably hate it just as much as the pro-choice people. They're not going to stop there. They're going to keep going further and further and further. And 15 weeks will become 6 weeks. And 6 weeks will become the moment of conception. And the moment of conception becomes no exceptions for rape and incest. And then that becomes, as already is the case, if your life is threatened, then you can get the abortion. But oh wait, I mean literally you need to be dying on the table. It can't even be a situation where we know you eventually will be dying on the table. You have to actually be dying on the table. This is what they do. This is who they are. This is how they act. This is what they believe in. They believe in masking their real agenda every step of the way. They know it's unpopular. They know it's pathetic. And so they take the rough edges off. And such a good lesson about the states' rights argument. Because if you look back at history, when does the right trot out the states' rights argument? Whenever they're trying to mask an indefensible belief and policy that they have. The crux of the argument during segregation times was not a bunch of right-wingers going out there saying, I think black people are inferior. They didn't say that. Their argument was, look, my position is I believe in freedom for the states. I believe you need to allow free people in a free state to make their own decisions. And in our state, which should be free, we say this is our way of life. We have separate but equal. And if you don't like that, you're the bigot. This is what they did. There's always a very highfalutin rationalization and justification that people use when trying to cover up their shitty beliefs. And the Republicans are masters at it. They are masters at it. It's just amazing when you splice it back to back and you see it that stark. Man, that hits different, doesn't it? Leave it up to the states. Oh, did I say that? I mean a national abortion ban. And again, all this is coming from a guy. I'm moderate on the issue of abortion. I think Roe versus Wade, the framework of Roe versus Wade got it right. Or the framework of Casey. So I'm not, totally closed off to the concerns of some pro-lifers. But you got to call balls and strikes here in terms of the politics of it. And the politics of it are abysmal. And again, they're going to pay for this at the ballot box because this is an issue where Democrats are crushing Republicans. And this only helps Democrats more. Ever since Adpocalypse, when YouTube defunded all independent news and politics overnight, we haven't trusted them. We know they can pull the rug out from underneath us at any time. If you enjoy this content, please consider tipping $1 or $2 per month on the Secular Talk Patreon. Link in the video description box below. Thanks for your support.